You're in my padded cell in North Norfolk, on the North Sea coast of Eastern England, and this is the soundproofing. I stuck on the walls here after the pandemic started, and I do all my trainings here. That's my backdrop. That's my Zoom background. That's the real thing. And there's my kit. And there's my microphone. And there's my nice big monitor. And the room is literally. I mean, I can touch both walls this way. And I can touch both walls this way. Literally, that's how big it is. One of the things that made the pandemic distinctive for me was I got my autism diagnosis, age 70 at that point, just as the pandemic started. And I now realise that a bit like other folk who are autistic, I like to be contained. I like to know that where my boundaries are. And this really gives me a sense of feeling safe, contained, in my own zone, completely in control. Well, reasonably in control. I absolutely love working online. I like working in person too. Being able to tap people's knees on the outside and the connection sitting straight opposite them. But there's something that just resonates for me about the online environment. And I love working with groups in particular, where you have on the Zoom screen, up to 50 people on one screen. And it's democratic. It's a kind of connection, a proximity to everybody. You don't have people in the front row, in the back row. Everybody's got their own unique space, and they own their space on Zoom. And you can see their background and where they're from, and they're in their comfort zone. They're in the comfort of their own home, as the salesman put it. And there's something about the presence, and everybody's equally present. I love it. Absolutely love working online. One of the passions I've had, one of the campaigns I've been running in the EMDR UK community is the language of online work, where people have wanted to differentiate in online work, remote work or telehealth, these terms I really don't like. Just online. Online is the way is the generic term, as opposed to face-to-face. And I will call anybody out who talks about online as being different from face-to-face.
So here it is, Mark's Zoom room, where Mark and I made some history back in March of 2020.
Right. There was sudden fear and loathing in the EMDR community that, oh my God, pandemic, you can't do EMDR online. It's dangerous, it's unethical. And in Europe particularly, the leadership of EMDR Europe put out an edict saying, don't do it unless you've been doing it before. And even if you've been doing it with clients before, don't do any processing. And I'd been using Zoom here on Zoom for years already. I'd already been using Zoom. And I thought to myself, this is completely bonkers. Mm-hmm. So I got very busy indeed and very incandescent and said, come on, let's come off it. This works. I know it works. I've been doing it for ages. And this is how you do it. And I think you then reached out to me. You said, hey, why don't we do this thing together? Mm-hmm. Why don't we do a webinar? And sort of the rest is history. 2 hours on March the 23rd or something.
Somewhere abouts there. Because it was
Sunday 2020.
USA had just went into most of the US had just went into lockdown that week. You were all about to go into lockdown. And yes, I was dealing with tons of emails and messages from my students and my consultees. How are we going to do this?
How do we do this?
And I said,
we can't let our clients down.
And I said, I need to get on the camera someone who has been doing this and isn't afraid of it. And it was quite a memorable time. And I think what we showed people during that webinar is, even though we had some conflict during it.
Yes, you refused to do EMDR the way I do it.
Right.
Really annoying.
Something went wrong.
Yeah.
And I think
you pushed back. You didn't agree with what I was doing.
And I think people who were able to watch that saw, and the world didn't blow up. We still resolved the conflict. We were still friends. And I think it was one of those cases of psychotherapy training that you want to see it not go so well, to realize that you can still roll with it.
The point about working online is that it is so immediate and so connected and so direct. Obviously, you're technical connections need to be good. You have to have good bandwidth and decent equipment and so on. But once you've got it up and running, you are so connected with the client that you can absolutely work with stuff that comes up. I mean, that's the whole point of psychotherapy. You work with stuff that comes up. And you and I demonstrated that you can dance with the moment in a really constructive, co-created way. And it works. Duh, as Homer Simpson would say. It's really not rocket science. Do it. And we illustrated, I think you and I, very clearly, not just in theory, but listen, watch us working. It works. And within 2 weeks, I've never seen global culture change so quickly on a sixpence, on a dime, as you Americans say. The culture of the EMDR global community changed literally in 2 weeks flat, and everybody was doing it. So I'm going to put a plug in for my training and how I work. I'm passionate about working with an attachment informed EMDR. So it's a way of understanding EMDR where you drill down, you take into account from the moment somebody gets in touch with, wait a minute, what's this really about? What's their story really about? How did they get to be the way they are? Where are the roots of their dysfunction? And with Gabor Mate, I say that, and I teach that trauma is not the external event. Trauma is the internal wound. And it's the formative experiences that we all go through millisecond by millisecond, all the way through from the moment of conception. And then you've got the whole intergenerational piece above. Factor all of that in a kind of straightforward, no-nonsense way, and it absolutely transforms EMDR. So I call my training Unleash Your EMDR, Release the Magic. Magic, got to be a little bit careful with the word magic, but it is sort of magic. We all know it is, but magic in the understood as we're busting spells, neurobiological, neuroscientific spells. So I get people together for 3 days, 3 half days, and we give them the tools to really make a difference with their clients from the moment they first get in touch. The website is emdrfocus.com, and the trainings are for those who've already done basic training in EMDR, and we call it Unleash Your EMDR, and the feedback is really good.